Om Sri Sai Ram. In the last session, when we ended up, we found that Roof had accepted the bribe from the leader or the chief of elections of the opposition party. Rather, the chief of the elections of the opposition party. And even as he accepted the bribe, he told, look here, my vote is not going to make much difference at all, because Marcus will win hands down with a thumping majority. Then the chief of elections of the opposition party is telling, and that is very important, you must take note of that. That's okay. We want a few votes this time. Next time, the votes will increase. He will get more votes. Moreover, people will start to understand that he gives in shillings and not in pounds. And people will listen. That's what he said to Roof. Meaning, highest bidder will clinch the deal because voters are bought. That's the reason. Highest bidder will clinch the deal. So, we will progress with the lesson. Election morning, the great day, every 5 years, when the people exercise power, that's the time everyone is excited and there is so much of activity. Weather-beaten posters on walls of houses, tree trunks and telegraph poles. That is a visual scene, actually speaking. Posters are hanging, you see. Weather-beaten, what's the meaning? The meaning is damaged or worn by exposure to the weather. The few that were still whole is taken to mean complete, full, called out their message to those who could read. That's a beautiful humor, actually. It is loaded with humor. You see, the few that were still whole called out their message to those who could read. The underlying or the undercurrent of humor is this, that is, most of these aboriginal people, these villagers, they were illiterates. They could not read. Still the posters were there, you see. Vote for the People's Alliance Party. Vote for Progressive Organization Party. Vote for PAP. Vote for POP. The posters that were torn called out as much of the message as they could. Some of the posters were torn. They could give out only as much message as was already available on them. As much message as was already available on them. Next paragraph, shall we? As usual, Chief the Honorable Marcus Ebe was doing things in grand style. He had hired a high life band from Umuru and stationed it at such a distance from the voting booths has just managed to be lawful. What's the meaning? The meaning is that he had hired a high life live band from Umoru, and he had stationed the band at a distance which was permitted lawfully from the booth. A permissible distance, we can say. Fine. Many villagers danced to the music. Their ballot papers held aloft. Aloft means up in the air overhead. Before proceeding to the booths, they were jumping and they were dancing. Chief the Honorable Marcus Ibe sat in the honor's corner of his enormous green car and smiled and nodded majestically. One enlightened villager came up to the car. Enlightened here is taken to mean well informed. Shook hands with the great man and said in advance, "Congrats!" This immediately set the pattern or set the trend. Hundreds of admirers shook Marcus' hand and said, "Congrats!" That is another piece of humor. These people could not speak English properly. They were just trying to make some uncouth imitations. So, in the process, congrats became congrass. Roof and the other organizers were prancing up and down. Prancing means walking or moving around with pretended exaggerated steps and movements. Okay. Giving last minute advice to the voters and pouring with sweat. They were overexerting. Do not forget, he said again to a group of illiterate women who seemed ready to burst with enthusiasm and good humor because they were joyous, innocent people. Our sign is the motor car. Then one old lady in good humor said, "You see, like the one Marcus is sitting inside." "Thank you, mother," said Ruth. "It's the same car. The box with the car shown on its body is the box for you. Don't look at the other with the man's head. It is for those whose heads are not correct. Concentrate only on the box where the car is shown." This was greeted with a loud laughter. These people know only to laugh, you see. Ruth cast a quick and busy-like glance towards the minister and received a smile of appreciation. He just looked at the minister to get an appreciation from him about his joke, you see. This can be called vying for appreciation. V-Y-I-N-G, vying for appreciation. "Vote for the car," he shouted. All the veins in his neck standing out means protruding. "Vote for the car and you will ride in it." Oh, that is poetically given. Poetical. It's so poetical. You vote for the car and in your future life you will ride in such cars. Then that lady again came in with a beautiful joke. "Or if we don't, our children will," piped the same sharp old girl. Piped means here sang. Even if we don't get an opportunity to ride in such big cars, maybe in due course of time. It is a pious hope, you can say. Our children might ride in such cars. That's beautiful. The band struck up a new number. "Why walk when you can ride?" Next paragraph. In spite of his apparent calm and confidence, apparent is taken to mean clearly visible, clearly visible. In spite of his clearly visible calm and confidence, Chief the Honorable Marcus was a relentless stickler for detail. He was a relentless means a persistent, someone who stops at nothing. A stickler is a relentless stickler. Stickler means a perfectionist, one who insists on quality. So Marcus was a relentless means persistent perfectionist. That's the meaning here. Okay. He knew he would win what the newspapers called a landslide victory. Landslide victory means victory with a thumping majority, winning hands down. Those are the meanings actually. But he did not wish, even so, to throw away a single vote. That shows his perfectionism. You see, he knows that he will win, but then he will clinch the win. But he does not want to miss a single vote. So as soon as the first rush of voters was over, he promptly asked his campaign boys to go one at a time and put in their ballot papers. Roof, you had better go first, he said. Had better, it's a beautiful usage. I had better go home now because it will start to rain. I had better go fast because the principal would be waiting. I had better hurry. I had better hurry because people are waiting for me. That had better is a beautiful usage. Did you get that usage? It's a good usage. It's a common usage. But it makes your language classic. That is it. I had better. Okay. Roof, you had better go first, he said. This is in second person. Okay. Roof's spirit fell. See? But he let no one see it. You know the reason, is it not so? He is having guilty conscience. We have discussed that. Okay. All morning he had masked his deep worry with a surface exertion which was unusual even for him. That is, all morning he had masked means he had buried. He had buried his deep worry with a surface exertion means with over exertion, exaggerated action. He was making up for his fear and worry, which was unusual even for him. Normally, he was not like that. He was not that type. Now he dashed off in springy fashion. Springy means light and confident movement. Springy fashion towards the booths. You got the point? A policeman at the entrance searched him for illegal ballot papers and passed him. Then the electoral officer explained to him about the 2 boxes. By this time, the spring had gone clean out of his walk because he was loaded with worry and also remorse. That is a word, remorse, guilt. He sidled in means walked timidly, weakly, and was confronted by the car and the head. 2 boxes. He was confronted by the car and the head. Confronted means came face to face with. He brought out his ballot paper from his pocket and looked at it. How could he betray Marcus even in secret? That is his guilty conscience. He resolved, means he firmly became determined to go back to the other man and return his 5 pounds. So you find that to be or not to be, what I should do? We say for that, caught on the horns of dilemma. What is it? Caught on the horns of dilemma. Dilemma. Caught on the horns of dilemma. £5. He knew at once it was impossible. £5. It is so precious and so attractive, so alluring, you can say. It was impossible. Also, you remember, he had sworn on that EE, that fearsome thing, superstitious thing, you see. So, then also another thing, the notes were read. That is, the notes were very precious, very attractive. The cocoa farmer busy at work. Cocoa farmer busy at work here is taken to mean his greed. That's the word, his greed. So I shall read that once again. You see, he knew at once it was impossible. £5. He had sworn on that EE. The notes were read. So alluring, you see. The cocoa farmer busy at work. That is a beautiful usage. It is an indirect message that his greed is terrific. Okay. At this point, he heard the muffled voice of the policeman asking the electoral officer what the man was doing inside, because he has taken quite some time, you see. I've been picking the bond. That is in Igbo. It is a combination of Igbo and Swahili, and it is given out in English here. You see, I've been picking the bond, meaning, is it a child he is giving birth to there? Or is he giving birth to a child? Got the point. Quick as lightning, a thought leapt into Rufus' mind. He suddenly got a lightning idea. It's a flashy idea. Because he's a manipulator. He is a manipulator. It will come to them. He folded the paper, tore it in two along the crease. 2 pieces. He folded it. The crease came. Along the crease, he tore up that particular ballot paper, put 1/2 in each box. He took the precaution of putting the first half into Madhuka's box and confirming the action verbally. I vote for Madhuka. Verbally mentioning that he put the first half into Madhuka's box. Okay. The other box, of course, the other box is waiting. Other piece he put in the other one automatically. That goes without saying, you see. They marked his thumb with indelible purple ink. What is indelible? That which cannot be removed. That is indelible. They marked his thumb with indelible purple ink to prevent his return. And he went out of the booth as jauntily means cheerfully, sprightly as he had gone in. He had gone in with springy steps, don't you remember? Same way, absolving himself of the guilt, removing the guilt from his mind and his heart. he just walked off. Joyously, cheerfully, sprightly. We can say that we come to the end of the lesson. But what do you think, my dear children? Please tell me. What do you think? Is it a righteous act? That is what we should ask always. Because, please be reminded, my dear students, you can cheat anyone. You can cheat on anyone. That also is another usage. But not God Almighty, who is resident in our own heart. He is a witness to everything. Everything is recorded. As you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever you do, you have to face the consequences. You do good, good comes to you. You do bad, bad comes to you. Here you find it is bad thing he did, you see. In Bible there is a saying, nemesis. Or you can say it is retributive justice. Retributive justice. It shall come back to you. It will come back to you. Stay assured, guaranteed, it will come back. You will have to suffer the consequences. The lesson is over now. In the glossary is there. The words are given. You can go through the words, whether beaten, damaged or worn by exposure to the weather, aloft, up in the air, overhead, enlightened, well informed, prancing, walking or moving around with pretended, exaggerated movements, relentless, persistent, stopping at nothing, stickler, perfectionist, one who insists on quality, springy, light and confident movement, sidled, walked timidly, jauntily, cheerfully, sprightly. Now is the time for assignments also. We give some questions. You can say testing questions, not teaching questions. Teaching questions, only one answer is possible. Testing questions, there can be more than one answer, and you can make your own inferences also as far as it is permitted or permissible. Okay. Answer the following questions in 2 or 3 sentences. Make sure you are writing full sentences and not a word or a phrase. That is very important. We must learn writing the answers in full sentence. Why was Roof popular in his village? Who had formed the Progressive Organization Party? What proverb does the writer use to describe the opposition to Marcus Ebbe? Why had Marcus withdrawn his salary in advance? How did Marcus host the villages? Why did the leader of the PUC campaign team visit Roof? And what conspired between them? That is all about assignments. Now we come to the end of the session. I hope you have understood this lesson in the right perspective and its value, whether it is positive value or negative value. I hope and pray that you have understood it. Thank you very much.